As we talked about last week from Wesley's 3 Simple Rules, we talked about doing no harm. How'd we do with that? Okay, it's not so easy. I got to be honest, mine wasn't so good at times either. It's a struggle. It's going to be a continuous, ongoing activity for us. This week we're talking about doing good. We don't stop with doing no harm. We continue to strive to do no harm, but we add to that of doing good. And I'm reading from Luke chapter 6, verses 27 and 28. Where Jesus says, "But I say to you that listen, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you. Do good." Why, that's a serious challenge from Wesley. It's a command from Jesus to do good. To do good to our enemy. To do good to those who hate us. To those who curse us. To do good, period. This doing good isn't just limited to those who are like me. This doing good isn't limited to those that like me. It is doing good. This doing good, like the doing no harm, is an active way of living. Now I'm seeking out and doing good for someone, a group of someones. But there's obstacles before us. An obstacle for me is that I'm no longer in control. And I like to be in control. At the top of my list of not being able to be in control is while I'm doing that good. Suppose while I'm doing a good, an overwhelming desire comes upon me to give all of my possessions away to do that good. Or suppose I'm breaking up a fight between 2 friends and they ridicule me. I'm no longer in control. But my desire to do good isn't just in my thoughts and my actions. My desire to do good is in response to God's invitation to follow Jesus. And therefore giving up control to follow Jesus is the thing to do. These 3 simple rules: doing no harm, doing good, staying in love with God, that we'll talk about next week. They're easy enough to understand. I know when I'm doing harm. I know when I'm doing good. And I'll know when I'm in love with God. I don't do these things, or I refrain from doing these things because I don't understand them. I do them or refrain from doing them because they're difficult to sustain. Wesley put it this way: judgment concerning holiness is new. He no longer judges it to be an outward thing, to consist either in doing no harm, in doing good, or in using the ordinances of God. He sees it. It is the life of God in the soul, the image of God fresh stamped on the heart, an entire renewal of the mind in every temper and thought, after the likeness of Him that created it. Jesus identified Himself as one who serves in Luke 22:27. Paul, he said, let love be genuine, hate what is evil, hold fast to what is good. This way of living, yes, it's radical. Walking with Jesus, it meant to focus on something larger than oneself. It meant something larger than the human institution. And that's exactly what it means today. What if I really did put God first? What if I really did put others' needs before my own? What if you really put God first? What if you really put others' needs before your own? Why, just this morning I went through the drive-thru at McDonald's, and maybe this has happened to you before, but I was there at the pickup window, and I got part of my order, and they left, and they came back, and I thought they were going to give me the second part of my order. But the new young waitress said to me, would you mind pulling around the building and we'll bring your food out to you? And it sounded like she was going to do me some big favor by bringing it around to me. And I thought quickly, and I thought, if I wait right here, you bring it right to me. And I told her, I said, well, if I sit right here, I think you'll get it brought to me faster as the line gets longer. And she gave me one of those looks like, I think you're right. But then I thought, I'm going to come and preach a sermon on do good, and I can't do that to that poor lady. And I told her I was just funning her. I'll be glad to pull around the building. Gave me a chance to look over the sermon anyway. Do good. Doing good where you can. There is such a thing as unhealthy self-denial, but there is a thing that we as Christians need to know as healthy self-denial. Not like the CEO of a big stock company that robs their shareholders and takes from them and then lets them know that, I'm sorry, there's no funds left in the account for you. Not like some greedy people that just take all that they can in hopes that they don't get caught. But loving your neighbor as yourself. Taking the time to care for one another. Loving your enemies. Do good for those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who abuse you. Do good. Do good, period. Who is your enemy? Love him. When I was young, it was easy to know who my enemy was. It was everyone in Russia. But today, who is the enemy? We can't blanket it with it's everyone in the eastern country, because it isn't. It isn't everyone. It's just a subgroup. We have to be careful. But we're to still love the enemy. And do good. Who do you need to do good for this week? Who's been persecuting you that you need to do good for? Who needs to see the faithfulness of God through you? Who needs to have that fruitfulness brought to them because of you? Do good in the name of the Lord. Amen.